Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to 3 Things We Learned, the series where we talk about the game that has just finished. We talk about 3 things that we have picked up from that game, moving on to the next game, and just overall have a chit chat about the result that I just came by there. 1-0 win against Dundee United, can't complain. Let's break it down a little bit more after the intro. So an incredibly difficult game at Tannadice there. They really did push us right to the very end, leaving it late through Albi and Ajeti to make sure we got all 3 points. What a mood change from the 80th minute onwards after we scored the goal. I mean, watching it was just so desperate. We needed a goal. It was horrible to watch, and I honestly must admit didn't have faith we were going to get a goal. The substitution of Ajeti did perk myself up a little bit more. If you were keeping in touch with my Twitter during the game, you would have seen that I wanted a Sinclair-esque moment, and boy oh boy did we get that from the Swiss man himself. Dundee United, fair play to them. I said everything in my match preview. It was never going to be an easy game. They were going to be physical, and they were physical. They were dirty buggers throughout the game. Reynolds and Conley were fantastic at the back. They made life difficult for Edouard. Edouard just looked like he was gone the whole game because of how well they had locked it down at the back. And the story is going to be the same every week. We're going to have to get used to this. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough to break teams down. We're not going to see a lot of teams coming out to attack us this season. It's the same with Rangers. We're both of us are going to be in the same boat against teams like this. Dundee United are just up from the Championship. How realistic is the possibility of them, throwing out an attacking performance? Very slim to none. So it was always going to be hard. And I said that. Mickey Mellon does a fine job at setting up his team to suit different situations. He can make them suit to play teams like Celtic. He can, suit them up to suit the lesser teams where he can attack the game a bit more. And you've got to remember this is without Shankland as well. So fair play to Dundee United. I would have appreciated them being a little less harsh because they were kicking us around the park. But Seacrest was good in goals for them. We finally got there in the end, and that's what matters. And talk about getting there in the end, it took 70 odd minutes till Lennon woke up and decided to make a tactical change and brought on a second striker. We had Ajeti and Edouard on the park at the same time, and that is what ultimately led to the goal, and I'd love to see that getting played more often, but we'll come on to that in the 3 things that we actually learned about the game. 3 points, so we can't argue with that. And on the game itself, it might have been a hard one to watch, but we can end the game happy. I thought John Kennedy was about to receive a big set of lips off Lennon there. I thought Lennon was stretching over to nip him at the end. Were you watching right to the final whistle? Do you know what I'm talking about? Honestly, I thought he was going right in for it. A few individual performances today as well to kind of cover it very quickly before we go into the 3 things. I think it was hard for players like Christie adjusting to a different role, and Cham finally got the start that the fans have been crying out for. We got what we were wanting. Scott Brown, I think, kind of grew into the game as it went on. And a lot of people criticising Greg Taylor as well. I don't think Taylor was that bad. I think he's just very easily abused on social media. I thought he was, average. He wasn't necessarily good. I thought Frimpong looked good as well, but the main man, Edouard, was just isolated the whole game. And it's one of the things we're going to come on to, but, it just seemed like it wasn't there. He had a couple of chances, one in the first half, hitting the post as well. Came very close. I'm surprised it didn't actually go in. It was some connection, but, the ball wasn't really at his feet until later on in the game where we had those 2 men up front, so it wasn't easy. It was really hard, but enough waffling. Let's get on to the 3 things from this game that I believe we have learned. Number 1, Ryan Christie is not a right winger. He's not a right midfielder, so when you're tweeting all that abuse today at Ryan Christie, and as much as you might be saying in the comments he was hopeless, he was rotten, terrible, he's been missing for a while, please keep in mind, Ryan Christie is not a right midfielder. How can us as fans expect someone who's been playing as a central attacking midfielder for the past, 24 months, suddenly become this right winger overnight and take James Forrest's place on the right hand side of the park? We were the ones crying about Forrest being dropped. We've not got another right winger yet. This is why we need to sign one in the window, and I guess that kind of comes on to the same learning point. We need to hurry up and sign a right winger. When Forrest isn't playing well or isn't able to play, Christie's not going to be able to play over there and suddenly become the best right winger in the league. It's not going to happen. Now, I will admit, his performance wasn't dazzling. He had a few chances that went flying over the bar. It was a bit ambitious, but he's not a right winger. And he moved, you seen him move more central as the game went on. You seen, especially when Forrest came on as well, he did move himself back into the middle of the park. But I feel like he was getting so much abuse on Twitter today for trying his best at a position he doesn't usually play. And I know a lot of people might be saying in the comments, there was a period last season where Forrest wasn't playing and Christie was on the right hand side and he was doing really well. Yes, of course, he did do well at that. But it doesn't mean that he can just suddenly walk into the role and play perfectly at that side of the park with the drop of a pin. You know, it's not going to happen. For me, Christie is a player who belongs in the middle of the park. We just need to hurry up and sign depth on that right hand side. It's not always going to be as easy as shoving someone over there who naturally isn't a winger. Today, yes, I wasn't the biggest fan of his performance, but I feel like we need to get over this whole, you know, jumping on somebody's back as soon as we can because it's the easy option. Yes, poor performance. It's not a right winger. Point number 2, Albian Ajeti is here to score goals. I'm very excited to see the future of Albian Ajeti unfurl at Celtic Football Club. Now, I'm not going to get overhyped and kind of try and build this situation that he's the next big thing after playing 20 minutes today and getting a goal which took a deflection on the way in. But I was really impressed with how he played when he came on the park. There was a specific moment in the game I really liked. I think it was in the 90th minute, in fact. He held up the ball incredibly well. This is while someone's basically pulling the shirt off his back. He held up the ball really well and then he slipped it through for, I believe it was in Cham. And we got a chance from it. It was the one that went over to Forrest. Forrest didn't get the connection he quite would have liked, and Siegrist made the save right at the death of the game. But that hold up alone from Ajeti was really nice. It was really, it was quite... it made me remember of a number 10 that we had a couple of years ago who was able to hold up the ball really well. Can't remember his name. And it just brought back memories of him. Crying, of course. And there was just other moments in the game I thought it looked really interesting. And I think that he's going to be really good for us at Celtic. And the link up between him and Edouard is a dynamic I'm excited to see grow and develop. I think that two of them are different footballers and it's going to complement each other nicely. And it was exactly what Celtic needed at that point in the game. And I think he should have been brought on earlier. But at the end of the day, he came on, he got the goal, and he got us the 3 points, and that is what we needed. So, guess the time that he came on didn't exactly matter too much because he'd done what we needed from him. But I feel like from the 45th minute onwards, as soon as the second half started, I was saying to my dad watching the game, look, bring on Ajeti. We need to bring him on into the game. We need help up front for Edouard. He's isolated. He needs someone beside him. They need to work off each other in these situations. And that's going to be the story throughout the season when we play these teams who like to sit so deep and make life difficult for us and drain the energy out of the game. So I liked Ajeti's partnership with Edouard. I also seen Ajeti drift off to the right quite a bit. Perhaps there's an option to cover for Forrest when he's not playing well. I don't know, but it was just a cracking player to watch when he came on. And of course, the big talking point was the goal that he got. And yes, it might have touched a player on the way in, but it got past the keeper. It was going to go in anyway. It was on target. That's what you want to see. Hopefully the first of many for our new Swiss striker. And finally, the last thing that we learned today, and I'm just going to say it every single week we do these videos until we finally do it, we need to hurry up and start playing with the 3-5-2. Why is it not getting done? You've seen that we got the goal when we switched to the 3-5-2 today. At half time, I put up the tweet, enough is enough. 3-5-2. The 4-2-3-1 against these teams who like to make Edouard isolated is just not going to work. And we're going to find ourselves in these goalless situations throughout until we change it. Now, I'm not saying the 3-5-2 is guaranteeing you to win every single week. Of course not. Who am I? I'm not Neil Lennon. But I just think that when we play that 3-5-2, it allows a lot more creative opportunities. There's a lot more passing options. And you've got that option of Ajeti being able to hold up the play, bring players into the game and expand it a little bit rather than get the ball up to Edouard and hopefully he can do something himself. No, 3-5-2 has to become the norm. Today I thought Beaton looked great again. There was one thing I actually wanted to pick up on in the game that I've not mentioned yet was I was really annoyed at how we're coming across like big Jessies, man. We've got to stick a foot in. Every player in the park was guilty of it today, even Big Beaton. It's not just the usual suspects like your Christies and your Forrests. Beaton today had a couple of opportunities, just stick your foot in. It was only one player that I've really seen get stuck in today and it was Brown, which was really annoying. We've got to get into these guys because they rough us about. So do it back. Get a wee bit of fear struck in them, but ultimately 3-5-2. Yes, we're still waiting on hopefully the signing of Shane Duffy or another centre back to make that an even better possibility. But we've got the players to do it now because Beaton and El Ahmed both look great. El Ahmed was the best player in the park on Tuesday night. Beaton has had two back-to-back classy performances. That's the word I would use. 3-5-2 has to become the system we go to. Ajeti and Edouard up front will be lethal. So that's what I want to see. The 3-5-2. Play it. That does it then. That's my 3 things that we learned from today's game. Well, I learned. I don't know if you'll agree, disagree, whatever, but feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And you know what to do, all the good stuff. Like, subscribe, share out the video. It will be much appreciated. It helps the channel grow even more every day. See y'all next time.